love our Georgia friends and all across the country. Let me tell you, it's an exciting time to be working for the Main Street economy right now, especially alongside America's hardworking Hispanic community. I know I speak for President Trump when I say how important this community is to him. We share so many values as Americans: faith, family, free enterprise, hard work. And we know, above all, your efforts together with so many that you work with make this country exceptional. Now, your contributions across this country result in having 5 million small businesses owned by the Hispanic community. It's incredibly important, and you help make our country the envy of the world. Each year, Hispanic American-owned businesses generate $800 billion in economic growth to this economy. It's unbelievable. It's really important. So thanks for what you do to make our country competitive and strong and create amazing jobs. Now, there's no greater advocate for small businesses than President Trump. He often says to me, and I agree with him 100%, Kelly, small business is big business. And we know that to be true. We know that America's 36 million small businesses make up 99% of all businesses across America. And to me, small business is very personal. That's why it's such an honor to hold this role, and particularly within the Trump administration at a time when we're putting power back into the private sector. I say it's personal to me because I was raised on what is now a 5-generation family farm, and my father started a small trucking company the year I was born. I grew up working in those businesses, went on to waitress in Main Street restaurants, putting myself through school, and I saw the power, the generational power of small business, what it meant not just to our family, but to families across our community. And that story is repeated millions of times over every year for families in this country. Now, we know that small businesses aren't just about the economic growth, they're about creating community. They're the ones that sponsor the baseball teams, the celebrations that families enjoy within their communities. And you mean so much to so many. I know being part of a small business from a very early age springboarded me into a lifetime of starting, growing, and supporting business, turning small business into big business. I was the first in my family to graduate from college. I went on to build a 30-year career, and I faced many of the challenges that all of you who are small businesses have seen, but also seen the exceptional value that it creates within our own lives, what it creates for families. Now, after the last 4 years, small businesses have faced really unprecedented challenges. We saw the inflation that came in, the rising interest rates. These are things that confronted small business for the last 4 years. So it's such an honor to serve alongside President Trump to ensure that small businesses now have a voice. Look, in just 8 months, look what we've gotten done. We passed the largest tax cut in American history. Working families, small businesses, made in America. That's what this bill is about. It puts $10,000 on average back into the pockets of hardworking families. No tax on tips, no tax on overtime. I've literally walked factory floors, talked to welders. They've said they will now work overtime because they're no longer penalized for working those hours. I've talked to waitresses who said they're going to take on more shifts thanks to no tax on tips. This is what it's about. It's about creating more opportunity to do what people want to do, which is work. I really believe work is a biblical calling, that using our talents in this economy within our families is so critical to creating our lives that we were destined to have. And certainly, I'll tell you, our 36 million small businesses are jobs engines. They create 2 out of every 3 new jobs in this economy. They make up 44% of our workforce. That's why the SBA is so important. Now, I don't know if y'all, have anyone worked with the Small Business Administration in any capacity? A few people? Okay, good. I'm glad y'all know us. That's why we're so important. It's one of the reasons I dearly love this agency is because it's more of a public-private partnership than almost any federal agency. And I have to say, all of our federal agencies are working together extremely well. And the SBA can be your conduit into supporting, if you need support with any agency, whether it's Veterans Administration, Labor. I know you're going to hear from Secretary Chavez DeRaymer tomorrow. Good friend of mine. She is fantastic. We have an MOU. We have an MOU with the Veterans Veterans Administration to make sure that we're creating those on-ramps. So what does the SBA do for those that haven't had experience? First of all, access to capital is our #1 mission. We guarantee small business loans through your local lenders. So we're not making direct loans. We're making sure you have access to the capital you need by giving banks the assurance that we have a government guarantee on that small business loan that they may not have made otherwise. 60% of our loan volume goes to businesses of 1 to 5 employees, which is pretty spectacular. It truly is small business. But we also make loans to manufacturers, and we'll talk about manufacturing in a second. Now, I will also say we also provide great business counseling. So if you have challenges in your small business, if you have an idea for a small business, we have 1,000 small business development centers across the country. We have veterans business outreach centers, and we have women's business centers that provide counseling. So I'd encourage you to access our services. We also provide access to government contracting. Largest purchaser of goods in the world is the federal government, as you might imagine, and we believe that small businesses need to have a seat at that table, so we're supporting our small businesses in getting access to those contracts. And then finally, disaster recovery. Hopefully none of y'all have to ever use that service, but we are there for you when you need it. Now, when I took office, obviously that was about 8 months ago, we were faced with 40-year high inflation, high interest rates, excessive regulation, an unfair trade situation. All of those challenges are getting fixed under this administration, but what I got very focused on was how are we serving small businesses. Unfortunately, when I arrived, our agency was bloated and bureaucratic. Our 7,000 employees were working from home 90% of the time. So what we did, we had everyone come back to work, just like a small business does. Small businesses show up for work every single day and they get it done. Thank you. That was just the first step. We took measures to reduce bureaucracy and to return the focus to Main Street. We put 1/3 of our staff out into the field to ensure that we're not just sitting in Washington, that we're traveling across the country, that's myself included. We've put 30% of our full-time staff in the field, and I started a 50-state tour to visit all of our small business states that we can possibly do in this year. So, look, for the last 4 years, another unfortunate statistic, the SBA failed to pass a single audit. Now, that's not fair to small businesses who are held to a high standard by our own government. So we're gonna walk the walk and talk the talk and serve alongside you every day. Now, I'll tell you one of the things that has been really rewarding is to be able to focus on Made in America manufacturing. You may not know this, I certainly didn't know this, but 98% of all of America's manufacturers are small businesses. And when you think about what happened over the last 30 years, our main streets in small town America, like the town of 600 that I grew up in, have been hollowed out as manufacturers and jobs left this country and went overseas. That means 70,000 factories, employers that drained 5 million jobs out of our country. So under President Trump's focus on Made in America, we're restoring, building, producing, and making things in America like we used to do. And we're doing it with more efficiency than ever. I've walked factory floors where there's 15, 50, 300 employees. It's amazing what can be done with advanced manufacturing, AI, robotics, and we are going to make things in America to ensure our supply chains are never jeopardized again. Thank you. Yeah, it's incredibly important, and a lot of times in the media they say it can't be done. And there is no one that believes more in the American worker, in American industry than this president, and I'm so proud to work alongside him to advance that important agenda. Now, to get that done, we obviously had to pass the Working Families Tax Cut. I talked about how it puts money back into the pockets of hardworking families, but for small businesses, it gives certainty for the first time in decades of their tax rate, something so fundamental that corporate America always has had certainty about the permanence of their tax code, but small business was left to guess from year to year, was the 20% pass-through deduction going to last or not? Was accelerated depreciation and bonus depreciation going to last? We're going to have 100% expensing. Well, now we have certainty, in addition to having things like working family, standard deduction increases, and the list goes on. This is an incredible bill. It provides the ability to use 529 plans and Pell Grants for workforce training, something that Secretary Chavez Raymer and I are working on. In fact, today, we're going to be visiting trade and technical schools, talking about the importance of a skilled workforce, because now that we have solved for inflation, hopefully interest rates keep coming down, we're cutting regulations aggressively, we have fair trade. The number one thing I hear from small business is that they're very concerned about the access to a skilled workforce. And we know that that path to getting into the workforce is transformative for families. It helps small businesses grow, and we are committed to helping our small businesses address that challenge. Now, I'll tell you, one of the exciting things about the workforce development effort is it is a partnership, not just with the Department of Labor, but with the Veterans Administration. So my colleague in the cabinet, Secretary Doug Collins, and I have signed an MOU to support our veterans. And to the veterans in the room, thank you for your service. I've been traveling around the country meeting with our veterans groups. Unfortunately, the last 4 years, their interests in small businesses were displaced by a political agenda that displaced veterans out of federal contracting, out of small business lending. I've recently visited Joint Base Alamitos and Joint Base San Antonio to talk to our veterans, and I saw the fact that the federal government was not there where we needed to be, and as soon as this administration came in, we're fixing that and working on an MOU to make sure our veterans have what they need. So look, 8 months ago, when we got here, this agency was bloated, bureaucratic, unfocused, and if they were focused, it was on the wrong thing. Small business was left behind. They didn't have a voice. Today, small business has a voice in this administration like they have not had in years. I encourage you to reach out. We have 68 field offices, district and regional offices across this country. Reach out to your small business administration office. Make that contact. See what services are available in your area, because we are here to serve. And if we have shortcomings, please let us know, because we are at a point, and this is true across the administration, of all my colleagues in the cabinet. We want to fix it so that it works for the American taxpayer. That's all of you. That's small business. You ought to keep more of what you earn, and your services need to be better. We know that, and we want to fix it. So I just want to say it's such an honor to work alongside each of you. Thank you for your strong contribution to this great economy, to American values, to what you do as a community, and your advocacy is so important. It matters. What you're doing here at the Chamber matters. Thank you for all your dedication, and may God bless you. God bless America. Thank you so much.
Buenos días a todos.